Ed Options, what is up? This is Luke. Last portfolio assignment of the year. We're talking right here about doing Adobe Spark. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to fire up English 1, Module 1, and we're going to look at rescuing some words. And what we're going to do as a student, right, is we're going to show mastery over those vocabulary words through this incredible tool called Adobe Spark. Okay, so your Adobe Spark is going to have a header image, a glide element. We'll get into that in just a second. 5 images in said glide element. We're going to define these 5 rescue words, and we're going to include some links to information on those words. Right? Then again, as you can see right up here, we're looking at how does using a tool like Adobe Spark diversify what students' learning looks like. Okay, so let's get it. So the first thing we're going to do, we got to have a couple things in place here for our Adobe Spark to really work, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to Module 1 in English 1, where we're talking about the rescue words. I think we've all played with this a little bit before. You know that when I hover over these words right here, they become highly annoying, right? And they read themselves to you and all that good stuff. But the activity is still what it is. And that is this piece right here. In the virtual backpack, which I think we all remember is kind of a document that a student's going to make somewhere else, right? They have an electronic document. So for me, I've done this virtual backpack piece in Google Docs, right? So I've gone through and I have found 5 words from the list that I am keeping here in my virtual backpack, my electronic backpack, just like the activity asks me to do. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to take this information right here over to Adobe Spark, and I'm going to make my artifact using Adobe Spark for my electronic portfolio. Ready? So how I do that is I'm going to do a new tab, and I'm going to head over to spark.adobe.com. Right? Getting to Spark is pretty easy, and then I'm going to go ahead and continue with Google. I'm going to allow Adobe access to my profile information, and when I'm ready to go, my Adobe Spark homepage will look just like this. Okay, so you can see I've made a few projects before, and now I'm going to start a new one in pursuit of accomplishing the goals here for my virtual backpack, my rescue words, in combination with the assignments for this. Okay, so here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this plus symbol here, and we are making a page. Right? So I'm going to add a title to my page. I'm going to call this Rescue Words. Okay, so you can see here I have titled it. I might even add here as a subtitle my name. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, I now have an Adobe Spark page ready to go. Now I need to start filling it with those elements, and that first element is a header image, right? I'm going to go with like a journey style theme to this, because that's what this is. If you think back to what we're working with, this is the journey to the unknown here in Module 1. Right, so I want a journey-like feel to my vocabulary list. So I'm going to say plus symbol, and I'm going to add a photo. Now the cool thing about Adobe Spark is I can find photos right here. So I'm going to simply type in journey. Right, sounds like a logical search term. And here's a few kind of journey-like photos. Right, journey into the unknown. This is kind of cool, like some train tracks here. Right, just kind of taking me off into the unknown, ironically enough. So for me, this has a kind of cool vibe on the theme. I'm going to go ahead and use that, right? Because I'm kind of on this, I'm going off the rails again on a crazy train into the unknown. Okay, so this next piece is the next requirement here for our Adobe Spark, and that is what we call the glide element, right? So what I'm going to come down here to do after I've set up my header image and my subtitle is I'm going to hit this plus symbol, and I'm going to enter my glide show, or the glide element, right? Basically that's going to allow me to put 5 images that go along with my vocabulary words, along with the word, its definition, and links to additional stuff. Okay, so I'm going to hit Glide Show, and now this is where I'm going to insert my images that are going to correlate with the vocabulary words that I'm rescuing. Right? So apprehension, I've got my definition done. Nervous, right? So that word kind of jumps out at me off of this page. So what I'm going to do is in Adobe Spark, I'm going to look for the word nervous and see what kind of images come back. Right? So let's see, I'm scrolling here. I don't know how much apprehension I'm seeing here. This young lady looks like these guys here. They look a little nervous, right? So that image is going to work for me. Now I'm going to go back and look at the next one. Contrary, right? Contrary to what you might think. It's not only boys who play video games. So opposites, right? So opposite. So I'm gonna type in that keyword. Little search here. So this is kind of fun, right? Some peas in a pod. Most are green. One is orange. That's opposite. I can speak to what contrary is there. Okay. Now I'm going to be finding jettison, steadfast, and tedious. Right. So again, I'm going to look kind of at what that implies. A jettison, to throw overboard. Right. So let's see something that says overboard here. See what kind of search term comes back there, right? Throwing something over the side just to, here we go. We've got a problem here. Somebody's going out, going overboard. In this case, it happens to be Billy. Apparently he's a little extra weight in our boat. Okay. Let's see, we've got steadfast, meaning stay on course. Right, so let's see what on track. Right, I'm going to type on track in there, or on course, using my own little synonym here. See what kind of images come back from that search. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Kind of like what this look is, right? Maybe a covered bridge here. Nice little image that's going to go along with my particular thing. And now tedious, right? So let's get a keyword off of tedious. Boring. Okay, so I'm going to add in here boring and see what kind of image I can get. Let's see here. Bored, boring. Well, that's not at all boring. So you can see in some of these images why the user agreement is 13 years or older, but for all intents and purposes, I now have my 5 images that I want to use for my Glide Show, right? So once I've inserted my 5 images, I'm going to hit save, right? And I'm back now to here is where my header is. I can scroll, and now here are my images. Notice each image has a plus symbol. This is where I'm going to add my word, my definition, and my link for each. It's lunchtime here at Fox Road. That's what that cool sound was. So let's pick this up here in a second by adding now the vocabulary words that we've been talking about, their definition, now an announcement.
And Samantha Dowdy, please come to the office. Anthony Villarreal, Samantha Dowdy, please come to the office. Thank you.
Anthony, you better get up here to the office. Okay, so now that I'm ready to go, I'm going to simply hit this plus symbol, and you can see here that I've got an option to add things. And that first piece is going to be text, right? And what I'm going to do in a header style format is list my first word, right, which is apprehension. Right, so I'm going to copy it from my virtual backpack document, right? Again, text. Right? Header 1, right? This is going to be my word. There's apprehension. Now I'm going to add some text that's more of a smaller style font, and that's going to be the definition, right? So the expectation often nervous of something bad to come. All right? So now I'm going to add that text smaller. There's my definition. Right? So now I need that one more thing. I need a link out to something that speaks to the definition of what apprehension is. Right? So I'm probably going to do a new tab, right? And I'm going to look for apprehension. right? Because I'm going to find an additional hyperlink out to what apprehension is, right? There's a bunch of dictionary things here, all that good stuff. So I'm going to link out, never a good idea, to Wikipedia, right? Apprehension, or understanding what apprehension is, right? So I'm going to link out to this Wikipedia article, right? So I've copied the link. I'm going to go back to my Spark, again, hitting the plus symbol here, and this time I've got a button. Okay, and that button is going to go out to the website. So notice right there I'm pasting a website. I'm going to say here, learn more about apprehension. Right, that's going to be the text on the button, and I'm going to want that to be centered, so I'm going to hit save. Right, and now a viewer of this document can see apprehension, what the definition is, and then they can click this button to go out and see more about this particular vocabulary word. Alright, so I've gone ahead and finished out my Spark, right? So again, remember I did apprehension, I added the definition right here, and then I added a link, right, to additional information about apprehension. Okay, so what I wanted to show you is that an option you've got here under Jettison, right, is I went out and I found a video that I've attached, right? So how do I do that? Okay, so again, word, definition, maybe some more information about that particular thing, hyperlinked out. I did the same for tedious, right? So tedious, definition, I hit the plus symbol, and instead of doing a button, I added a video. It basically said, well, what video do you want to add? Well, I went out to YouTube and I found an example, a real-world application of something that's tedious that students do when playing video games, right? So worthy of note as well, if you're going to do this, got to make sure to approve any video that's going to go in here. Okay, so basically I've approved the video. I have come here to the share link. I have copied that share link right there, and then on my Spark I would simply paste that here, and I can hit save, and you can see that that will add that particular element to my Spark. Right, so this meets the criteria, right? I've got a header image, I've got 5 images that speak to the vocabulary words that I've rescued from this assignment right here, and subsequently my electronic or virtual backpack. Right? So I have created my Adobe Spark. Now it becomes evidence time, right? So what I need to do is share the Spark, right? This is an educational Spark. Ready? And now I'm going to get my public link. So I choose that button, and it's going to give me this web address right here that I'm going to copy, head over to the portfolio. Okay, so again, I've created an Adobe Spark page. Here is my intro to what Spark is, right? Here's my header, so my admin knows what I'm looking for. There's my thoughtful reflection that I've already knocked out. Now it's time to add my Adobe Spark, and I've got a URL to that Spark, right? So I'm going to choose URL. I'm going to paste that link right in there. I'm going to hit add. I'm going to make this nice and large for a viewer to be able to check out my Adobe Spark. And you guys know I like to drag it up in between the intro and the reflection. Right, so I'm going to drag it right there into its spot. There is my Spark, and now I'm going to hit publish. Okay, so I'm going to publish those changes to my site. I'm going to view the published site, right, and this now is going to provide my administrator a opportunity to go out and see my Adobe Spark that I've created in support of doing the rescue words. Okay, so almost out of the woods. So what I'm going to do from there, right, so here's my page as usual. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to head back to the activity where I'm going to show the Dropbox right there. Right, and I'm going to paste the public link to my portfolio, which houses my Adobe Spark. Okay, last tool of the year. Super proud of you guys. Your portfolio at this point is going to be jammed packed full of incredible evidence on how tech savvy you are getting. So knock this one out. Super proud of you guys as always. Keep up the good work. Adobe Spark, Ed Options. Boom.